Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the People's Channel, home of the Bit Squad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all the interwebs. No channel works harder to keep you in the know about crypto. My name is Ben. I'm having to re-record my Sunday drive video. I had one for you guys earlier, and my alarm clock, as you guys know, I have to solve 8 complicated math problems before I can turn it off. It decided to go off, and it ruined the video, so I'm having to re-record it. I want to talk about what's going on with some major banks right now. This is some really crazy stuff, and some people are going to tell you this is horrible. I think I got a different perspective. I think this could actually start something that could turn these markets around, maybe even faster than we've anticipated. Now, we still stick with our November date for the bottom of Bitcoin, but there's some very interesting things going on in the macroeconomic world right now. Okay, so over the weekend, it's been reported that Credit Suisse, that's S-U-I-S-S-E, I assume it's a Switzerland bank, but maybe I'll stay neutral on that. It is basically insolvent. Their business model no longer works, and they're moving further and further into a hole. Kind of like Celsius. They had a business model that stopped working, they kept doing it. Credit Suisse, a lot of people think it is about to totally collapse. I don't know if that's going to be technically bankruptcy, insolvency, or something like that, but it's not good. Now, you also have Deutsche Bank, which we affectionately refer to here at the channel as Douche Bank. They more money laundering fines than almost any other bank. I think they had like $100 million money laundering fine for money laundering customer funds. So anyways, I digress. But the point here is this. They're also in trouble. However, there's a lot of doom and gloom about Douche Bank possibly going under, but the pendulum may be swinging the other way for this bank. Basically, they've instituted a new business model, and they may actually be okay. Some people are actually bullish that it's bottomed and moving the other way. Why do I talk about banks? You guys know, I hate banks. This is extremely relevant to what's going on right now in the United States and the world economy. If you look at 2008, what happened? You had to have the bank bailouts. The banks had to be bailed out. Why? They're too big to fail. And then what happened? We got a huge economic collapse. So you're probably looking at this situation and saying, man, if these banks go under, this is not going to be good for the world. The difference is, this is happening in Europe, whereas for us, the major collapses were in the United States. Why is that relevant? Well, because of one Mr. Jerome Powell, the president of the Fed, as you guys know, or chairman of the Fed, which, by the way, all chair members of the Federal Reserve, supposedly a private company, chosen and appointed by the president and Congress. So it's a government office, if we're going to be really honest about it. But the point here is this. Jerome Powell has been raising rates. Our economy has been, not doing well. The dollar around the world, however, is crushing every other currency. Except for the Russian currency. It's a caveat, long story. The point is, almost every currency is getting crushed by the dollar. The dollar is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Guess what's going to happen? If they continue to raise the rates, the dollar is going to get even stronger, which means more downside action for Europe. These are our friends in the United States. We're very friendly with Europe. Here at the channel, we love the UK. Obviously, we love the UK. We love to watch Mr. Bean on the pitch. We like baguettes. We like baguettes in France. We love, red beards, Ireland. We love it over there, okay? However, the point is this. These countries are in big trouble, and they're going to start feeling major effects of our rate hikes. If we continue to raise, their economies will continue to go down. Now, where does this put us with Bitcoin, the markets in general? There is an emergency Federal Reserve meeting. I think it's tomorrow, possibly. I don't know. Maybe it was Friday. They had an emergency meeting. I don't think it's happened yet, but they scheduled it. Why? this exact thing. You're seeing Europe collapse right now. You're seeing these banks on the verge of insolvency. Jerome Powell has the power and the excuse to now stop raising rates. The Treasury yield's out of control, usually a sign that you're going to see the rates actually cut. Some people think we could see rates cut. That goes against everything they said. It doesn't make sense. But it does. Because if they cut the rates, or at least pause the rates in the short term, maybe not the next raise, but maybe the December raise, will get paused like we predicted earlier in the year. That will stop Europe from tail spinning. The DXY will start to come back down. And what happens for Bitcoin when that occurs? It's inverse. When DXY goes down, Bitcoin pumps and goes up. When DXY goes up, Bitcoin goes down. That's what we've seen this entire bear market. So, if they stop raising the rates due to the pressure, not only is it a good thing for us and it's not good for inflation, but it is good for Bitcoin, and which hedge against inflation. And the thing about here, the thing you have to really watch here is Jerome Powell never gets any blame for anything. The narrative here will be Europe and international powers pressure Jerome Powell to stop raising rates for the good of humanity and the good of the world. And Jerome Powell gets to go back to what he loves to do, which is, not control the economy, just let it continue to roll out of control inflation, which he's done ever since he's been in. But he also gets to be the hero again. He was the hero when we had the pandemic and we printed the money and gave all the free money. He's the hero now that we've been cutting the rates or raising the rates, because he solely is in charge of controlling our financial futures. A lot of room for insider trading in that Fed, but I digress. But he also will be the hero of cutting the rates. And now we'll start to see things even out in the currencies of the world. And I can't guarantee you any of that is going to happen. But that, in my opinion, seems to be where we may be heading due to pressure around the world with the sinking world currencies and the rising DXY. All right, guys, that's all I got. Thank you to my lovely wife, Bethany, for recording this video. Be blessed.